We're on? Oh, we're on! Hey, everybody! It's Jack Nicholson. How you doing out there, kids? Merry Christmas to you! So, and it being Christmas, I'm going to read one of my favorite books when I was a young boy. It's called How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And here we go. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. Could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. Could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight, but I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town, where he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings. Snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow's Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously turned. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, and they'd rush for their toys. And then, the noise. The noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise. Daddy! Oh, God, Dad! Sorry about that. I got a little carried away. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast! They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast. It's a little hot after a while, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. Excuse me. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing! The fuck's going on around here? Can't somebody sleep without listening to the singing? Oh. Yeah, I'm sticking to the script. Shut up. And the more the Grinch thought of this whole Who Christmas thing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. Grinch laughed in his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, "What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer." Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. That stopped the old Grinch. "No," Grinch simply said. "If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead." So he called his dog Max, and he took some red thread and tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some empty old sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Gap!" The sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a-snooze in their town. All the windows were dark, quite snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number one," the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. And now, a message from our sponsor. What do you mean? What do you mean there's no commercials? What? You're telling me I have to read this whole goddamn book without commercials? For Christ's sake. Oh, don't do anything stupid. Now, you son of a bitch. Hey. Had some technical difficulties. No big deal. Yeah, okay. Now, where was I? All right, the slam down the slave thing. Excuse me. Let's see. All right. Wait. So there's a picture, kids. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. Got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant round the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns and bicycles and roller skates and drums and checkerboards and tricycles and pop guns and plums and all kinds of other stupid crap. Sorry. Holidays get a little stressful, if you know what I mean. So he took everything and he stuffed them in bags, and then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. This sucks. "Hello, I'm Christopher Walken. I'm substituting for Jack while he calms down." So then he slunk to the icebox, and he took the Who's feast, and he took the Who pudding, and he took the roast beast, and he cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up to the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. Alright. It's my fucking show here. Jesus. I don't know what walking was doing. Anyway. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. Turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and thought it up quick. Well, Wendy, Cindy, why, my sweet little tot, big Santa Claus lied, there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Last thing he took was a log for their fire. He went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. And then he did the same thing to the other houses and blah, blah, blah. It was 1:15 dawn. All the Who's still to bed, all the Who's still to snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up, out the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's. He was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. The mouths will hang open a minute or two, and then the Who's down Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. Oh, that's so sad that you didn't get your toy train for Christmas, little Peter Who. And that's too bad you didn't get your little pop gun for Christmas there, little Lucy Who. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. Started in low, then it started to grow. This But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sounded merry. Well, it couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. Stared down at Whoville. Grinch popped his eyes and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Did I just do all that for nothing? Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. Yet, every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. Yeah, and it stopped Christmas from coming. It came! Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch was with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. The Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. I know I already read that, so what? And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And that's the end of the story. Well, I hope you've all been real good, 'cause you don't want to get coal or a mouse head stuck in your stocking now, do ya? Santa Claus is coming to town. Okay, well, I hope you all have a great, wonderful, Merry Christmas. And I hope you've been good. So, happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everybody. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. See you later. Merry Christmas to you.